Hi, I'm Jake. I love Pathfinder, so I do Pathfinder videos. Pathfinder 2 exclusively. Not exclusively, okay, I do like RPG news and stuff that I made for RPGs, but mostly Pathfinder 2 still, because I love it. It's a really cool, flexible system, especially character creation. But we're going to talk about an archetype today, the long-awaited Talisman Dabbler. Why did I wait so long? Well, everything else seemed more important, because I don't like this archetype. I just don't. But I'm going to go into why, and feel free to argue with me. I love arguing. Not really, but I'm happy to, because I like talking. That I do. I do like talking. Talisman Dabbler. As you can see in the image, this is sort of the feel of the crazy old person that lives on the outskirts of town, who has like little stick figure dolls outside their windows, and who has strange like crow's heads hanging from threads if you go in their home. They are odd, and they say that their things have magical powers, and like they might stick a little ivy on you, or like mistletoe, and say this has protective magic, and you're like, yeah, you're right, you're insane. But that's what this is about. That's running this feel. And I know they look like a hag or a witch, but it doesn't have to be a hag or a witch, but it should be, because everybody should play one. A hag. Yeah. So, Talisman Dabbler dedication. Feat 2. Obviously, it's a dedication. You are trained in the use of talismans and similar magical paraphernalia. Blah, blah, blah. You can craft talismans, and you know the formulas for all common talismans in the core rulebook of your level or lower. You remember them naturally, and you don't need a formula book. This is interesting as a dedication because it doesn't have any requirements. You didn't have to like learn any talismans first, and it just says you know all of them of your level that are common. That seems like a lot of extra leeway that other archetypes and classes don't get. It's not like when you take an alchemist archetype, it says you know all of the formulas. You don't. You take alchemy and you know like 4, and then you can pick them up later. So I guess this is useful in that way. So you have a lot of options. Let's go on. Each day during your daily preparations, you can make 2 talismans with an item level no higher than half your level. This is always a problem in this archetype. It's never your level or lower, like other archetypes or classes are. So they're always going to be underpowered for your level. And talismans as a whole aren't great. They have, okay, so there's like Murderer's Knot, Lover's Knot, and a couple other minor ones that just give you a straight boost of damage or protection, healing in combat. Aside from that, they're almost all just like minor usages. Like you can walk on water for like 20 feet or 15 feet. And then that talisman is gone. Or like gives you +1 to athletics checks to disarm someone once. Every time you use a talisman, it burns out. Spell hearts do similar things, but they don't burn out. They give you a bonus, and they let you use a spell that's stored in the spell heart, and you can just reuse them every day. I think that the Talisman Dabbler should be able to make spell hearts as well. I know, I haven't covered spell hearts before, but they're really cool and very versatile. The Talisman Dabbler dedication says, you are trained in the use of talismans and similar magic paraphernalia. This training might have occurred in a formal classroom or been an agglomeration of folk magic picked up over time. You can craft talismans and know the formulas for all common talismans in the core rulebook of your level or lower. You remember talisman formulas and don't need a formula book for them. So that's your level or lower, all talismans as you level up. That's cool, because if you have downtime, you can make things that are your level, so they might be useful. And talismans are versatile. Reading the dedication further, it says, additionally, you carry a collection of magical baubles you can turn into temporary talismans. Each day during your daily preparations, you can make 2 talismans with an item level no higher than half your level. You must know each talisman's formula. A talisman created this way is a temporary item and loses its magic the next time you make your daily preparations if you haven't already used it. Finally, when you affix a talisman, which is what you do in order to attach it to weapons or armor, and that's how it has its effect, you can, in any combination, affix or remove up to 4 talismans in the 10-minute span. unless you've made talismans ahead of time or found them, you only have 2. So being able to attach 4 of them doesn't really matter. And besides, it takes 10 minutes to attach one. So you're like doing this at the beginning of the day. You're not doing it right before or during a fight. So if you have 10 minutes, you probably have 40. So that part doesn't really do anything helpful. It's just like, ooh, I can do this faster than other people who just buy talismans. Because I spent a level on this. Or an archetype feat on this. Level 4 feat. Quick fix. You can attach a talisman using only a bit of glue and some string. You gain the rapid affixture skill feat, even if you don't meet the prerequisites. When you use it, you can affix or remove up to 4 talismans in 1 minute instead of just 1. You gain the ability to affix a talisman as a 3-action activity from that feat at 12th level, regardless of your crafting proficiency. This is 4th level, though. So what it gives you right now is, when you affix a talisman, you can apply or remove up to 4 in 1 minute instead of just 1. If I have a minute, I am not in combat. I have 10 minutes. If I have 1 minute, I have 10. Like, it's really rare to be in just that niche situation where you're, like, infiltrating an enemy base, and there's guards coming around the corner, and you're trying to hide, and you're like, how much time do I have, GM? And they're like, you have 1 minute. Okay, fine. Then maybe. But other than that, that's all this skill feat does at this level. Or, sorry, it's a feat that gives you a skill feat. It's a 4th level archetype feat that doesn't do much that's helpful. I would even go so far as saying it does nothing that is useful. And this is where my complaints really start. Because if I am trying to prepare for my day and planning, like, what things I have prepared, if I am a snare crafter or an alchemist or an herbalist, I can create things that are much more effective than talismans. And as a snare crafter, it doesn't have to be half your level. It's your level. So I just... Snare-crafter is better than this in almost every way. Granted, when you first start snare crafting, it requires 2 things. The crafting skill and the snare crafting feat. Fine. And the snare crafting feat gives you 4 formulas. It doesn't give you all of them, like the talismans. But learning all of the shitty things to do, or 4 cool things to do, I'd rather learn the 4 cool things. Let's read the next feat, which is 8th level. Deeper Dabbler. With some streamlining to your process and a deeper collection of talisman materials, you make a greater number of talismans every day. You can create 2 additional talismans during your daily preparations. Okay, that's actually useful. Now you can create 4 talismans. They're still up to half your level, and talismans are underpowered in general. So if this is your archetype, you have spent a 2nd level feat, a 4th level feat, and you can't choose a 6th one to switch to a different archetype next time. You have to wait till 8th level and then take that feat at that level. All for the ability to attach 4 things to 4 different items that might give you like an extra d6 damage once, or like heal you for 3d8, or give you +1 to athletics checks once. Look in the book. Talismans are cheap. Just fucking buy them! This is not worth 3 fucking feats! Let's go to the last feat. I'm sure it'll make everything better. Talismanic Sage, feat 14. You have forgotten more about talismans than lesser warriors have ever known. Normally, affixing more than 1 talisman to an item causes the talismans to be suppressed. But when you affix a talisman, you can specially treat one item you're working on, allowing it to have 2 active talismans at once. This special treatment ends if you use affix a talisman to treat a new item for this ability. Okay, that's Still, one item, like, all right, so Nonat mentioned, like, putting a murderer's knot on 4 daggers to just hand them to your ally so that they can do, like, the extra bleed damage of the number of their sneak attack damage dice. Unless they have Twist the Knife, which would do the d6s instead of the number of d6s. So, like, 2 extra damage of persistent bleed damage to spend your feats on. This is crap, guys. Come on. I mean, I know that I am taking just specific examples and pointing them out as they suck. They're not useless, of course. They do something. +1 does something. +2 damage does something. Is it worth these feats? Are there other archetypes that do things that are similar and better? I keep going back to Snarecrafter because while snares are hard to set up, once you get the ability to just throw snares or set them up immediately, which, by the way, is faster than the talisman attaching, it has a much better effect. It does damage. It can cause conditions. It doesn't just, like, give you the ability to walk on water for 10 or 15 feet. All right, so I have a couple of ideas about how to make this better. One, just let them make the talismans that are equal to their level or lower instead of half their level, because then it's at least a little bit on par of, like, an elixir or a mutagen, something that's useful. It might not make a lot of difference all the time, but it will be better. And these are already crap. Yes, I know in the remaster, they fixed them. They improved them. Really not. What they did is they removed small restrictions. Like, instead of it taking an action, it takes a reaction instead. Or you don't have to have athletics trained in order to use this. Yeah, sometimes those things will matter, but rarely. That's all they did. They removed restrictions on how you could use it. Everything else still applies. You can still only attach 1 talisman to 1 item at a time. I'm just disappointed because this fits my theme concept of the Bog Witch, which seems so fun. But these are shit. Like, I would always choose alchemy over this. If you compare the Talisman Dabbler to the Alchemist, to the multi-class archetype Alchemist, you get so much more stuff, and you can choose feats that give you a lot of options of the Alchemist abilities, like smoke bombs and having your own familiar and shit. This just doesn't have that claim to fame. I'm sorry, but it's crappy. Okay, so I have an idea for another feat, maybe replacing the 8th level one. That instead of, like, no, not the 8th level one, because you need to be able to create more than 2. And that's another thing. You don't have downtime. You need to be able to create enough to use. Anyway, I guess I would probably get rid of Quick Fix, the level 4 feat, because taking 1 minute instead of 10 doesn't matter. To let the talisman last through 1 usage. Like, maybe just until the end of your next turn and you can use it again. But you have to use it then. And it burns out at the end of the next turn no matter what. That would be a very interesting, well, not very interesting, it'd be a useful niche ability that nobody else gets. Being able to take this entire class of item that are disposable and being able to use them 1 more time. And it wouldn't be overpowered because it still stays on the same item that it was attached to. It's just as if you had an extra item that you attach it to without taking the action to do so. Which is fine because these are not powerful abilities. I think having them last for 1 extra round would actually make this useful. It's still not amazing, but it would actually be something that I would consider taking. You could plan for that, and it could be fun. Thank you for joining me today for another archetype video. There will be another one soon. I promise I'm actually going to continue them. And the build videos. I need to get back to those. I've actually missed, I think, 2 months, and I meant to put out a build video at least once a month, so I need to catch up and put more build videos out. I have them started, I just haven't finished them, because I'm the kind of person who starts 4 projects at once. Yeah, right. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and thank you for being a patron if you are. I appreciate you guys. It helps out immensely, and also is super encouraging. And something else that's encouraging is commenting or sharing or subscribing, of course, but sharing means a lot. Maybe you don't want to share the Talisman Dabbler video because they suck, but maybe you can point out to your GM, hey, I don't want to take this. It sucks. For your viewing pleasure, further archetype videos or build videos, make your choice. Was that weird enough?